In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated military strikes against key Iranian military sites. The primary driver of this conflict is Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. Roughly 440 kilograms of uranium has been enriched to 60% purity, a concentration that could be processed into material for 10 nuclear weapons. The UN's nuclear watchdog identified damage from satellite imagery near the Isfahan and Natanz nuclear sites. This caused a loss of continuity of knowledge, meaning international inspectors lost all ability to track and verify the location of enriched materials. This intersection of active kinetic strikes and a sudden blind spot in nuclear oversight creates an intelligence vacuum in an already volatile region. At the UN Security Council, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres convened an emergency session, warning that these events could ignite an uncontrollable chain of events. When a nuclear threat becomes a headline, common cultural narratives often predict a specific reaction: mass hysteria and the immediate collapse of civil society. Tehran's streets present a different image. Traffic remains heavy, and civilians continue to shop for daily goods in the Grand Bazaar. Fear here is internal and invisible, woven into the quiet persistence of daily routines. On the ground, residents describe waking up every morning with their brains feeling full of chaos. Many Iranians are living with layered trauma, a psychological state where current anxieties stack upon the deep scars of previous conflicts. For older generations, the prospect of war is filtered through memories of the 1980s Iran-Iraq conflict. Stability was further eroded by a recent 12-day conflict with Israel, which serves as a recent reminder of how quickly stability can vanish. This persistent pressure manifests in wide sleeplessness and a sudden, heavy reliance on medication to manage a sense of dread. Millions are living in a psychological limbo, forced to manage mundane survival tasks while shadowed by the possibility of radioactive fallout. Sociologists refer to the idea of mass hysteria as a disaster myth. While we expect society to disintegrate under pressure, research shows that populations typically move from a threat toward rational assessment and community organization. There is a clinical difference between a biological fear response and irrational panic. True panic, defined as a loss of self-control followed by non-rational flight, is statistically the exception during a crisis. When facing the information vacuum of a potential nuclear strike, people focus on self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the psychological belief in one's ability to exert power over their own environment and survival. In Tehran, this drive manifests in specific, quiet actions: taping windows against potential blasts and methodically stockpiling water and canned food. Pressing duct tape onto a window pane is a way to exert tangible control over a situation that feels uncontrollable. When governments believe the disaster myth, they may withhold critical survival information to prevent a panic that research suggests wouldn't happen anyway. This lack of transparency can degrade social trust, making it harder for communities to coordinate their own safety. Data shows that institutional transparency is directly correlated with community resilience. When people are provided with trustworthy facts, their ability to organize and respond to a crisis increases. Without clear official guidance on the status of the nuclear sites, the Iranian public is currently forced to manage their existential anxiety in isolation. Institutions predicting mass hysteria often leave their populations underprepared for the actual challenges of a fallout. On the macro level, peace talks mediated by Oman are at risk of collapse, leaving the diplomatic chamber at a stalemate. The risk of a wider regional war remains active, centered on nuclear facilities that are currently operating without international oversight. Resilience is clearly visible in the steady hands of everyday families, who are methodically preparing their homes and lives for the worst. From the working taxi driver to crowds in the bazaar, the evidence clearly shows us that despite the looming threat, people choose order and community over the chaos the world expects.